Alright, so in this video I'm going to be covering my solar arsenal that I plan to bring into the final shape. One thing that I do, that I've been doing for quite a while now, is I make dim loadouts for elemental weapons, right? So they're basically weapon loadouts, they're not build loadouts for dim. So what you do is you go to dim, you create a loadout, you don't pick a subclass, you enable this loadout for any class to use, right? So that way I can just go into dim, find the loadout, equip it. It doesn't matter what subclass or class that I'm on, it'll just transfer all those weapons. And then I typically use like my solar weapon arsenal I'll use with my solar builds. And I know that a lot of people don't, are not super OCD about synergizing their builds. I tend to be a little bit like that. I like to play into the elemental fantasy of a certain subclass. Obviously, with Prismatic, the fantasy is going to be variety, so I understand that, and I also understand that there's a lot of core builds like that don't necessarily need to use matching elemental weapons, and it's definitely not always wise to do so. But that's just kind of my thing. So yeah, so I'm going to be covering the my top 9 elemental slot weapons for solar and my top 9 heavy. And you might be wondering why not 10? Because I like to leave one slot open, right? Because these weapons are applicable to all 3 subclasses, or classes, I should say. I keep one open so that, like, say I'm on Titan, or say I'm on Titan and I want a 1-2 punch shotgun, right? Titan thing, right? Not necessarily a Warlock thing, so I can just go ahead and transfer over a 1-2 punch shotgun without losing any of these other weapons, right? This also allows me to collect loot on the fly and delete it or assess it, so that's kind of nice there. Obviously, like if I'm on Warlock, then maybe I would throw in a trace rifle for Cenotaph, right? If I'm on Hunter, maybe a Lucky Pants hand cannon, right? So there's some, there's different purposes for different classes, so I like to keep one, flex slot open, basically. Right. Okay, so these are the top 9 elemental weapons that I think will be applicable on all subclasses. I've got my shiny Luna's Howl here with Subsistence and Incandescent. For general gameplay, and I do plan to do the Legend campaign solo, so Heal Clip is more of a team support perk, and it's also more of a healing perk where you don't have healing already available to you. So if you're on a build that offers healing in some way, very easy to do on solar. Subsistence is just incredible, especially with extended mag. Like, you can just fire this thing forever and hardly ever have to reload. So yeah, very good. And obviously I'm considering the seasonal artifact. Bungie told us already what the champion stuns, like the overcharged weapons, are going to be. So I've already modified these loadouts from my Season of the Wish solar loadouts to prep for the final shape, right? So I've replaced like a lot of bows and stuff that we currently had in the artifact for ones that we're going to be getting in the final shape. Hand cannons are staying, but now they're going to be for overloads, right? Sidearms, instead of barriers, are going to be for unstops, so not quite as useful. And scouts are going to be for unstops, and we've got barrier SMGs, right? So yeah, Luna's Howl, very good. Polaris, but like I said, like if you want to switch this out for Heal Clip, I mean, do whatever you want. I'm just saying, like, Luna's Howl is a very good solar legendary hand cannon. You might as well bring it, or Zawuli's Bane. Just have some kind of option in there for just general ad clear to keep Empyrean procced and stun those overloads. Then we've got Polaris Lance. Yet again, we're getting easy access to Radiant, and we're also getting Unstoppable Scouts. So Polaris Lance is going to remain pretty much in the meta, not quite as strong as it currently is, because we're not going to have like Flint Striker and that Ignition one, but still, like, Polaris Lance is still going to be scorching. It's still going to be stunning unstops through ignitions. So it's going to be a classic for quite a while longer. Then we've got Heliocentric. Like I said, it's an unstop option, but it's also a very good heal clip weapon. In fact, I think it's a better heal clip weapon than Luna's Howl, because sidearms not only do a ton of damage, like better damage than an SMG. Like, if you're doing any kind of close quarter combat, sidearms are basically the play there. Heal clip and incandescent, just extremely good. Then we've got the Ikelos Sniper. I think it's just good to have a ranged precision option on any subclass, so have at least one sniper in there somewhere. Being a rapid fire, it's very good on ammo and total damage, especially with 4 times the charm. Focus Fury is a good option, or high impact. So yeah, I think if you're just gonna do sustained damage, then you want Focused Fury. But really, the only time you're gonna do sustained damage with a sniper rifle is if you're totally out of ammo, right? Like if you have no more heavy ammo and you have a long enough damage phase where you can just, shoot the sniper over and over. This is more for like proccing bait and switch, or just pulling this out occasionally and shooting it and not really having to think about my reload. Then potentially could benefit from high impact reserves more than Focused Fury. Then I've got the Eremite here, just classic fusion rifle for doing alternative boss damage. Like if I'm on Tractor Cannon, Envious Assassin and Controlled Burst is very good there. If you have a good Cartesian coordinate, you can bring that instead. But I do recommend that you bring at least one solar special weapon for medium range burst damage, close to medium range, right? So fusions are just a little bit more flexible than shotguns in that sense. I have a ranged option with the sniper rifle, and then I have a close to medium option with Eremite, right? So non-precision, precision, all range is covered just with a fusion and a sniper. So that's kind of my thinking there. And then I've got my Priacianatics. Even though bows aren't in the artifact, just bows in general to me have always been the best endgame legendary weapon. For staying safe, strafing in and out of cover. I like bows. Okay, so you don't have to bring a bow if you don't want, but this thing has the utility of shoot to loot once again, right? So I've got a shoot to loot option over here. I've got a shoot to loot option here that I could swap to. So that's kind of nice. And then Callus Mini Tool, because I still think it's probably the best solar SMG, and like I said, we're getting anti-barrier option for SMGs, so it'll regularly be overcharged to have 25% more damage. Being able to pierce all shields is very good, and just for ad clear in general. Unrelenting and Incandescent is the combo that I've used for quite a while here. I used to have, I think, Threat Detector, but having the option to get some healing back is always nice. Now that we got, and it, like if you compare something like Unrelenting to Heal Clip, they're different. They're both healing you. Heal Clip obviously heals you more, and it procs Ember of Benevolence, so it has better solar synergy, but Unrelenting does give you basically immediate chunk of health, right? And it's random, you're not going to get it on every kill, but because we've got Incandescent, because it's an ad clear weapon, you can pretty consistently proc Unrelenting for some health back, so that's kind of nice there on all classes. Staccato 46, again, we've got Unstoppable Scouts, so I'll probably end up using the Scout more than the bow, but shoot to loot and explosive head, so this is just going to double as a utility option for unstops and for picking up ammo and armor charge, right? Then Sunshot, Sunshot needs no explanation. It really doesn't. Okay, so on to the heavy slot. Dragon's Breath. I think Dragon's Breath is still going to reign king for, especially for solo gameplay, for an exotic heavy on the solar subclass. Especially when you pair it with Ember of Ashes and Ember of Char and, all those other Scorch and Ignition based fragments, whatever you can afford to use. This thing is just amazing, especially if you pair it with a good kinetic weapon. Yeah, super good there. Like I can use like Eremite and Dragon's Breath, right? For, to capitalize on triple solar weapon surges and do a lot of damage like that. So very good. Definitely would recommend you bring one of those. Apex Predator, if you've got a good one, bring it. I've got a few rolls of Apex, but I think just in general, Reconstruction Bait and Switch is the favorite out there. I do like Bipod a lot as well, but for raid and boss damage, you're going to want a legendary rocket on basically any subclass, so you can benefit from Wolfpack rounds. And then same thing here with, that's the reason why I'm bringing Gallahorn. You could argue that you should bring Gallahorn on any subclass, but, I'm definitely going to bring it on Solar, so I can synergize with my Solar build, play into the Solar fantasy, and be a team player. Then I've got a Cataclysmic here for long-range, precision-based, sustained damage. This is basically the Whisper of the Worm alternative, right? You'll notice here I still don't have my crafted Whisper of the Worm, so if ever I'm in a a raid boss fight and it's precision based and people are using Whisper, well, I can just use Cataclysmic and basically get similar damage out, right? Not too far off. So I'd highly recommend that you bring one of those for total damage and precision damage, right? Xenophage, just because it's just very good utility in general for bursting down majors. Xenophage is just very good, and I know it's an extremely popular exotic to use for solar, so go ahead and bring one of those. Lament, if we need to do any type of sword damage versus raid bosses or anywhere in the game. I know we have Overload Sword coming in the final shape, but I don't really plan on using Overload Swords all that much. And obviously Lament's not going to benefit from Overload because it's already got anti-barrier intrinsically. But I mean, I hardly ever use it for that either. Swords are pretty much for melee boss damage, or unless you're on like a strongholds build, that you can build into it like that. But if I'm on a strongholds build, like that's what my open slot is for here, right? Like I can carry over Throne Cleaver, which is my Titan class specific sword, and I can do a stronghold build with Throne Cleaver instead. But yeah, Lament is just still very good, very survivable weapon. So yeah, fixed odds, just because it's the best solar machine gun in the game as far as ammo economy, having incandescent for ad clear, just a very good weapon in general. So I definitely recommend that you bring at least one machine gun that's legendary. Then I've got more of a specialty weapon here, which is Briar's Contempt. And anytime that I'm in an encounter against a boss where Surrounded is just easily acquirable, then, I mean, this is a huge damage. I mean, this is insane. 47% damage. You can't really go wrong with that. So this is more situational than something like Cataclysmic, and right. So whereas Cataclysmic is better for longer damage phases, for total damage, this is more of a DPS monster, right? And especially good versus Tormentors and Lucent Hive as well, because it's a harmonic resonance weapon. You can also pair it with other harmonic resonance weapons for more damage. Then Whisper of the Worm, because I already know how popular it is, and yes, I still have to go into Whisper and get my crafted variant with the Catalyst, but I'm making videos for you guys to prep for the final shape. So who knows if I'll have time to actually go and get it or not. I'm not sure. There's only a couple days left. So yeah, be sure to like the video, and I will see you in the next one, which will be probably Arc.